How do I begin the farm transition planning process?
Transitioning a farm can obviously seem like an insurmountable hurdle. There's an inability to just know where to start. And I think if you just break it down into a number of steps, that can help get you started. And the first is that you don't have to do it alone. It's a team approach, and it's become more of a team approach in recent years, more so than ever before. If you call an attorney, it's important to call, I think, an ag attorney, someone that is familiar with all of the ins and outs of ag. And so if you decide you are going to transition the farm, knowing what happens if you make a transfer of property that's enrolled in Clean and Green or in an ACE program. But getting an attorney involved and also an accountant. They're, I think, the two most critical components. And then you may also want to get involved a farm consultant, a lender, your insurance agent, and basically coming up with a team approach to handling all of the different issues that are going to be raised during the process. I think the next thing to keep in mind is that you don't need to have a plan before you call us, and it's oftentimes better to not have a plan, because sometimes you haven't sometimes you aren't aware of maybe the tax consequences of a certain approach, or just know what other options are out there. And to come in with your heart set on forming a trust, a lot of times maybe an LLC is the better option. And so coming instead with a set of end goals. I'd like to have this child get the farm at a reasonable price. I'd like to continue living there in the house, in the farmhouse, as long as possible, and basically having some of those goals in mind, and then we can walk you through the different ways to get there and try to set it up in the most tax effective and the most beneficial way for everyone that's involved. And then I think the other step is to know that it doesn't take place overnight. There's the planning process, and there's the implementation process. The planning process in and of itself can take a year or more. It can take less than that, but it just depends on how fast you can make your decisions. And then the implementation process can take anywhere from months to 20 years, depending on whether it's a transfer that's immediate with no strings attached, or whether it is a reduced sale buyout over 20 years. And so it's not going to happen immediately, but you need to just take the first step. So if they would call our office, we would typically ask them to provide us with their family and financial information. That gives us a background to know what assets we're dealing with, how they're owned, what the value is, before we would actually even meet with the client. And that gives us a picture of what we're working from and what we're working with, and then we can typically take it from there. And so that is really the hardest part, making the call and just providing us with your basic information. And if you do that, then you're essentially on your way with the farm transition process.